Okay. We are back again. Okay, I don't know if the same quality is going to be there, but maybe it will stop buffering. Okay. All right. All right, everybody. So I'll probably end up just catching up to speed. I'm having some technical difficulties. This live stream may be broken up into a couple different videos. I'm not sure how to kind of loop them all together once I'm done here. I didn't really cover too much in the first video. I'm just working on the cherries here. So, Dee, I don't think you're in here just yet, but when you come back after you're done eating your supper, let me know how the feed is. I had to change the resolution, so apologize if the quality is not great. So, whoops. There we go. Just figuring all this stuff out. Okay, back to painting. Okay, so I was working on this particular cherry back here, and I was talking about one of my favorite gouache artists, Ivan Earle. He did the background artwork for Sleeping Beauty, and you should go check his artwork out. I'm pretty sure he's dead now. I don't even know if he's still alive, but I think gouache paint is just a very fun medium for doing just very bright and vibrant and just a unique style of artwork. So I'm just dropping in some shadows. This one behind this mint leaf is quite dark, so I'm going to mix in a little bit of black, a little bit of raw umber, some alizarin crimson, and I'm actually going to paint this whole shape in with this dark color first, and I'm going to layer on those other values. A little bit more water in my brush so I can get some more fluidity out of it. This is a very dry medium. It's really all about water control. You just have to find that right balance. The more water you have in the paint, the more fluid it will be, but also the more translucent it will be. Or like watered down, it's not going to be as opaque. So you just have to find that balance between your not too watery, but watery enough to where it's still opaque. All right, mixing in a little bit of gray here. And then the color always changes on you after it's dry too, so that's kind of annoying. But just keep working with it. Eventually you'll get it to where it needs to be. I do have to go over areas a couple of times, you know, when it dries and the color isn't quite right. I do have to readjust my colors and values as I paint. I'm just going to check something real quick. I just want to make sure. It's not possible to go live twice, is it? Like to have 2 live streams going at once? I don't think so. I know I hit the go live button a couple of times. I just want to make sure that it's good. Still not receiving enough video to maintain smooth. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. I'm sorry, y'all. Well, I'm gonna keep going and roll with this for a little while. Hopefully it'll figure its life out. I was on my way home from an art lesson today, and I saw these little blue flags lining up the neighborhood streets on the side of the road there. We are getting fiber internet. What do they call it? Fiber something? The really, really fast, like the fast internet. I'm super excited about that because I cannot wait to get rid of Comcast. They're just nothing but problems. Comcast, if you're listening, your internet sucks. All right, here I am just putting some highlights on these areas where it is reflecting. It's probably a little too bright for this area. It's also a little too gray. It's not as gray as the color I'm putting down, so I'm gonna just mix in a little bit of red. Now I want to show you something too. So a lot of my paint is a little dry. You can see where, like, this stuff literally dries almost instantly. But if you just add some water, you can just reactivate it and use it more like a watercolor, because this is pretty thin. Or you could have it, you know, thick piles like this. But I will take in fact, I'm going to spray this down with my water bottle just to give it a nice, just misting it again so it doesn't dry out completely. Last time I was going live, I have, sometimes I'll put down a disposable paint palette, and underneath that palette paper I will put a damp paper towel, and that will help keep the paint from drying out so quickly. Today I'm just really just being lazy. Now I'm just blending in some of these areas where I've put those highlights. And I'm going to blend this a little bit more too. This one's a little darker. I'm going to add some black. Ooh, maybe that's a little too much. A little too much. Let's bump that value up just a pinch. There we go. That's a little bit better. Still not receiving. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully it's not buffering for you terribly. One day I will get the hang of doing these live streams. But until then, we all get to suffer together. Totally joking. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna just go ahead and finish out this section right here. There's a lot going on in this section. There's some really dark values underneath this mint leaf, so I'm just gonna add in some black mixed with the alizarin crimson. Get a nice rich shadow. There are some gray tones in there as well, so it's a little bit more desaturated. I'm going to just add in a couple paint strokes of the gray, and then So I'm looking at this as if I were to be looking at an abstract painting. There's all these little squiggly lines where I guess you call it the jelly, whatever is in the gelatin that the cherries are in. It just sort of has that, water ripple look to it, that sort of marbleizing, how it's reflecting different lights as it moves over the lumpy surface of the cherries. So I'm just trying to copy those little squiggly lines the best I can, and I'm trying to match the colors the best I can. Oop, well, that's a light value. I need a light value. It's in the wrong spot, but I'll just work it in there. Let me adjust this too so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. There's some lighter values back in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just really just kind of do the best you can. Just kind of fake it. I even went out of the lines a little bit right there. Add a little bit of white. I'm gonna add some more highlights here. If you can just suggest what's going on, you can kind of get away with not really painting everything so precise. Like, just get the main components. Like, there's a dark shadow here and here. But if my squiggle lines from where it's reflecting aren't 100% in the right place, I can just go for close, and that is good enough. Okay, so how can we address this boo-boo here? Where it went out of the lines. I'll try and lift it by adding some more water to it. Although this is white paper and I'm blotting it with some dirty red water, which is not the greatest of ideas. So let me just put some water on my palette here where it's clean. And see if I can just lift that out there. Well, it's still a little stained, but what I can do is I can go back in with the green and I can just widen this leaf to cover up those areas. And that will, that'll just clean up the edges, and I can keep the background white, or I can add a background and paint over that. So I'm just going to grab a couple more lighter grayish purple values for underneath this leaf. There's just a few pops of highlights here. There we go. And there's a few darker spots right there. Maybe some pops of more saturated red, right where it's exposed to the most amount of light here. Color will look a little bit more saturated and vibrant, where it's closer to the light source. Add some more dark values here. Okay. I'll rinse out my brush. And of course it's buffering again. I don't think I'm gonna be able to fix it, y'all. We'll just have to deal with it. All right, I'm gonna go and continue on with these other cherries. I'm gonna go to, so right here is sort of the valley area where there's a lot of reflected light being bounced around, even though it's inside between several of the cherries. So it is in shadow, but there's some reflective light happening. So we've got some, you know, the base color is this dark red, but then we've got an overlay of the sort of the grayish color of whatever it's reflecting. So I'm going to go in with a mid-toned gray that's been mixed with some of my reds here. So a reddish gray. And I'm just going to paint in where that lives. Gosh, why is this not working? This is super annoying. Okay, so if anyone has any advice on getting the video quality to stream better, please comment below and let me know. I don't believe I have anything running in the background. I've turned any excess programs off that might be using up my computer's juice. But, or if it's an internet thing, maybe it's an internet thing and not a computer thing. I don't know. But we will, if anything, I'll just have to record this off camera and just post it for you to be able to watch later. So again, I'm just adding these little different values of squiggle lines to represent how this is going to reflect in different areas here. Painting translucent objects, well, I guess this will be more of a viscous object. You know, some areas you might be able to see the cherry underneath it, but then some areas it's all you can see is the reflection of the light above. So you have different areas of different textures. It is a challenge, but just really look at what you're painting. All the information is in your reference photo. So I'm just going to blend this line out. I'm going to add a little bit more of that color. It is more of a gradient. It is hard to blend with gouache, but it can be done. Winsor & Newton makes a watercolor blending liquid, and I've used that before to make blends. Matter of fact, I'll probably use that. That might work. This is what it looks like. And it works pretty good. So I need a little cup or something to put this in. I'm just going to splash a little bit on my palette here. It still dries fast, even with the blending medium, but it'll give you enough time, I think, to just work it out and to blend. Okay, so far it says the stream is healthy. Yay. I'm just going to keep going. Okay, so we've got some strong shadows. I actually need to fix this. This is a little bit darker. I'm going to adjust this shape here. It's much more squiggly in the photo reference. And there's also some darker values happening there. I'm always in a constant state of adjustment. Always adjusting my values as I go, which is totally fine. Once you lay one value or color down, that just ends up changing something else, the way something else looks. And you just keep adjusting until you get it the way you want it. All right, I need some coffee. Oh, welcome back, Dee. Sorry, I just realized you came back. How was your supper? How was your spaghetti? Spaghetti sounds so good. I had, what did I make? I had some hamburger that I took, or that I had in the fridge, and I made like a taco bowl. It was a very simple dinner, but it was tasty. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna add some more darks to this cherry. Now, quick question, Dee, also known as Diane. Do you prefer Diane or do you prefer Dee? Or indifferent? Adjusting these values back here. There's a nice bright highlight right in the back corner of this cherry. So I'm going to do that next here. And there's also some, actually, take that back. I'm going to take some lighter highlights, some more grayish pinky tones. Add a little bit more warm red, a little bit of white. Rice noodles and mushrooms. Ooh, still not much of an appetite. Yeah, I guess maybe spaghetti might be a little too much if you're still feeling a little uneasy. I haven't made spaghetti and meatballs in a long time. I used to, when my husband and I were first married, that was like one of the only things I really knew how to make. And I love spaghetti and meatballs, especially he always liked homemade meatballs. But I liked the crappy processed ones from the freezer section at the grocery store. So I would make it all the time, and he just got so sick of it. And then eventually I think I was told to just never make spaghetti again. So we haven't really had it in a long time unless it's homemade spaghetti. Or not spaghetti, but the meatballs are homemade. But yeah, that my poor husband had way too much spaghetti and meatballs in our first few years of marriage. And indifferent. Will knows me as Diane. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Which is why I was wanting to make sure I wanted to call you what you wanted to be called as. The first time I saw you pop in, I thought it was you from his channel. I was like, oh, that's got to be the same gal. And I was going to ask you, but I was so like nervous during my live stream that I was just like, oh, it's probably not her, and I'll just sound like a weirdo. I get way too much into my head. Yep. D is your brother's nickname for me. Oh, okay. Oops, I went out the lines again. So, you've been a long time viewer of Will's channel. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do a shout out here to Will. So if any viewers who are going to be watching this, Unmasked Art, and the artist behind that, his name is Will, he helped me out tremendously with getting my channel up and running, and is just a wonderful art teacher. He's got a subscription of art tutoring through his website. He's got thousands of videos of art and dozens and hundreds of art projects. Anything you would want to know in several different mediums. I highly recommend you go check out his website, unmaskedart.com, I think it is. His YouTube channel, he goes live and teaches projects very similar to this, or rather just like this, but better. And just want to shout out to him because he has just been such a huge help in helping me do this. So anyways, thanks, Will. I hope everybody go subscribe to his channel. Back to you, D. When I was doing crafting, I named my business D Craft Dexterous. Am I saying that right? D Crafty Dexterous? D Crafty Dexterous. Am I saying that right? So are you working on any art projects right now, or any crafts? What does Will have you doing? Are you part of his art? Are you part of the club, his art club? I've actually thought about joining, just because I feel like I need something different than what I've been doing lately. That's great. Yeah, he's very encouraging. He's a very good speaker too, which I find is very easy. He's very easy to understand when he's explaining what he's doing. And he's a very good artist. I like, I don't get to watch it all the time. I don't know what his streaming schedule is, but usually when I wake up and get ready for the day, I'll catch it if it's on. But I like that he's doing those monthly masteries where he's going over the basics, and which I think is so important. Crocheting. I love crocheting. Oh, congratulations on the new grandbaby. The pastels and Thor project. Are you doing the Thor project in the color pencils? just watching him do the background on that, like, it just seems, I'm not a landscape artist at all, and just like to imagine even attempting that in color pencils would drive me absolutely nuts. It looks really cool though. Like, I can't wait to see what it looks like when everybody's all done with that. Oh, okay. Gosh, everyone's getting sick. That's so crummy. Well, it's a good thing they're all recorded so you can go and work on them when it's not live. Do you have a favorite art medium that you like to work in? Mm-hmm. What paper is he using for the color pencil? Is that the pastel matte? Okay, let's see. Where am I at so far? I like color pencils the most, but pastel pencils are catching up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Legion Cotton. I have not tried that one. I am a creature of habit, and once I find something that works for me, I tend to stop branching out when I try something, but I need to go out and try some more papers. Yeah, pastel pencil, gosh. If you can get over the that chalky feeling, good on you. That's I could never touch them very well just because I don't like that chalky feeling. I much preferred just regular color pencils. But the stuff that some people do with the pastel pencils, it really makes me want to try them again, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I can't get over that feeling. So you're mixing the regular color, the wax color pencils with the pastel pencils too, together? Right, I remember you saying you were allergic to the pastel sticks, if I remember that correctly. So if you are using the wax and the pastel pencils, does that like gunk up at all because you're using like a powdery, more dry textured pencil with a wax based pencil? What does that feel, what does that even feel like? Oh, no mixing. Okay, I wonder what that would feel like. That would be kind of weird. All right, I'm getting a little off topic here. Let's see. I'm gonna go to these two cherries right here. I'm going to add a extra base coat of my alizarin crimson just to give it an extra layer of color, trying to get rid of a little bit more of those streaks. And I'm going to go in with my darker values, a little bit of black, a little bit of brown, and just get that back outside edge darker. A little more value. I'm going to work my way forward. There's almost like some banding going on with that one. So I'm going to take a little bit more of my alizarin crimson, a little bit of white, a little bit of gray, some red. Yeah, I've never tried them together. I was curious if you had or not. It seemed like it would be a very interesting combination. But I think people actually do work with those two combinations together. Is it Jason Morgan Wildlife Art? I think he does. Well, he does a lot of pastel pencils, but he does the pan pastels underneath. But I think he had a few videos where he did both. I don't know if you ever watched his show. He's got a lot of really good animal art on that channel. Watercolor pencils, if we haven't had the time and energy to start something new. I need to get and try those. I was given a set of watercolor pencils for a gift one year, and I tried them once. I wasn't too crazy about them. They weren't, I don't even remember what brand they were. I don't even know if they were, considered artist quality or not. But, so I don't know if maybe the quality is why I didn't like them, or if it was just, probably experience, little A, little B, because I'm not a watercolorist by far in the traditional sense. But I think utilizing the watercolor pencils as an underpainting for other mediums, I think, is a fantastic idea. I have the Inktense pencils from Derwent, and I just realized I'm not even on camera. Goodness, look at me. I'm fired today. I'm so fired. But anyways, I don't remember what I was talking about. Total brain fart. Watercolor pencils. Yeah, I think she does too. She does some really cool stuff too. She does a lot of that surrealism. All right, I need a small brush again. I'm going to get this little guy in the corner. Back here is a little bit of a purpley gray, sort of an ashy purple color. I have a couple gift cards for dickblick.com to just, I don't even know what I'm going to use on it, but I thought about getting some watercolor pencils and giving them another shot. I'm always looking for easier ways to layer color pencils or to do backgrounds for my color pencil pieces, so I don't have to use up all of my, the pencils, because they're so expensive. Oh, I'm sorry about the buffering. I'm not entirely sure how to fix it. I did change the resolution, but it just keeps going in and out. I'm not really sure how to fix that. If it's too difficult to watch, maybe I can try and jump back on tomorrow. I actually don't have anything going on tomorrow. I had a cancellation I was meeting up with a friend of mine to do some stuff. We're doing a sip and paint pretty soon, and we were going to get together and work on some prep stuff. And anyways, we have to reschedule. So if it doesn't work out tonight, I can try tomorrow morning again and see if we can't get YouTube to be a little bit friendlier. gosh. It might be. Our internet is a little crummy. Let's see, what time is it? 6:30. I'll probably paint for another half an hour and then try again tomorrow. I don't know what time tomorrow. I'll probably do it in the morning or when I wake up, maybe lunch-ish time. But yeah, sorry about that. I wish I knew how to fix it. Oh, let's see. We need some brighter reds. Now, I intentionally, when I'm done with the cherries, I want to push the saturation in the cherries that are more in the front by mixing in a little bit more orange tones to them. I want the ones closer to the viewer to be warmer in red because I want them to be more noticeable, and that will help push the other ones into the back of the cheesecake a little more. So cooler tones will push objects further away, where warmer tones will come closer to your eye. So I'm going to try and manipulate my colors to go in that direction, just to give it some more pop. I'm noticing that I'm being a little heavy-handed when it comes to these gray tones, and I'm losing some of my saturation, so I know that I'll have to go back and adjust again. Oh, perfect timing. Does your husband also do any artwork with you, or what sort of hobbies do you both enjoy doing together? Adding some more dark reds to the back there. Okay, I'm going to jump on over to this cherry right here. There are some deeper, darker tones in the back. Make sure that you guys can see this. Okay, we've got a nice pop of red on this one. About right there. I'm actually really liking this blending medium. The last time I used it, I was really just experimenting with it, but this is actually the first time that I'm really using it. Dee, I don't know if you saw this. I'm using this Winsor & Newton blending medium. It's made for watercolor, but it works really well with the gouache paint. And I'm actually able to get some really nice gradients with it. It worked really well in my testing when I was just kind of playing around with it. And I think I might really implement this in my normal painting routine. I think it's actually keeping it a little bit, I mean, it's not drying out as fast either, which I knew that, but it's really helping me get these nice gradients with the cherries. He's a former builder. We had a business until car accident. Oh, he loves building and gardening. I guess his skill is in rough in work. Rough in work. I do the finish work. Oh, okay. Building and gardening. That is so fun to do together because you form of just being creative with each other. That's great. Same. I've got an ongoing wish list. I do need to put an order in pretty soon because I'm running out of paper for my in-person students. I teach local classes and private art lessons where I live, and for my color pencil classes, I teach on pastel mat. And I like to get those, just the small size ones. I think it's like just under I think it's like a 7x9. They have such strange sizes. I never really understood that part about that company, but they're all European size pieces of paper. But yeah, I need to make a list and figure out what I need to stock up on because I think I'm out of a few tubes of paint and just need to stock up on brushes and some other random stuff and probably buy a bunch of stuff that I really don't need. I've become an art supply junkie over the years. Okay, I think I can do a little bit more shadow work right in here. I'm looking for gradients where it goes from one surface to another, and I'm just paying attention at what colors transition into what colors, and that helps sort of keep me organized. And I'm going very slow. I'm going from one small section to another. There's so much going on in this picture, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. Oh my gosh. Oh wow. How's he doing now? Oh, oh, that's so scary. Never been a fan of heights. Always been a little scared of falling. Gosh, he's probably scared of heights now too. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna move to this section right here. I'm not gonna do any of these white highlights. Those will be sort of the last parts that I add to the cheesecake, or not this portion of the cheesecake. So I'm just gonna be looking for these darker areas of shadow and looking for how they transition to the lighter areas. So again, I'm going to go back and looking for those big shapes of color. So I'm going to start with this, a light red. where it's brighter here. And I'm just going to do the best I can by painting the overall shape of what that looks like to me. So I'm almost doing a color block on top of a color block, if that's a different way to look at it. So I'm reinforcing the layers underneath by adding in more saturation of paint, more color, giving it a second coat of paint, if you will. I'm glad he's progressing well. Gosh. So that was just recently that he did that. I wouldn't let him on a ladder either. Oh gosh. Well, I'm so sorry that happened. That's yeah, that can be really scary. Okay, I'm gonna go into a little bit of black. I'm gonna mix that with some alizarin crimson. I'm just gonna get some of these real deep areas down here and just block that in. It looks very blobby-esque in this section here. There's a lot of different, I guess, peaks and valleys, if you will, in this little area where it's going in from deep, deep red to almost a black. And then again on this side as well. I'm being a little bit loose with my brush just to kind of get some more expressive sort of scribbling. I want more expressive paint strokes just to kind of add to that sort of loosey-goosey feel of how the light is hitting all these little objects. I think I need a little bit more black too. Oh, wow. He's lucky still made it to the wedding. 10 days before the wedding, wow. Is he still in some pain? Does he still does it still hurt for him to do a lot of movement? What do you find most challenging to paint? Oh, that's a good question. Think about that for a second. What do I find most challenging to paint? I would probably have to say, gosh, I feel like each texture, I'm going back and forth between things that are liquid or glass with something in it, reflected surfaces, because there's just so much varieties of colors and values inside one shape that creates the reflections and the lighting from name that object. So I think, or even just like bread texture, like this particular cheesecake has liquid and it has bread texture and it has sort of glowing elements where you have, you know, the translucency of the red cherry jelly portion, and you see the the underlying object behind that, trying to capture those, I think can be very challenging. They're challenging for me, certainly, but I think that's why I'm also drawn to doing stuff like this, because I want to get better at understanding light and how color plays into lighting when it goes through something that's opaque or translucent, because it changes how we look at it. It changes the colors and the shapes, and there's just, the more you stare at a picture or an object, the more you see in it, and I think that's really fun to try and capture all those tiny little details. I'm gonna go with capturing some sort of liquid or, translucent objects. I think are probably the most challenging. Can't reach up past 70 degrees. Oof. He'll get there. I think as long as he keeps doing his PT and just keep working it, he'll get back on track again. What is your preference on what you like to paint or draw? Do you have a particular subject matter that you enjoy more than others? I'm just doing another layer of this is just straight medium red. This is the Naphthol red, which is the warmer red. And then go back into the black and the alizarin crimson. I'm going to add in some darker shadows. And I'm just going to add in, there's a few little pockets of some dark spots in here. So I'm just going to, they are fairly random, but I'm going to try and get them as close as possible to where I think that they live. Adding some dark shadows here as well, right in between these two. So I'm layering these shadows. I'm starting with the deepest shadows first, and then I can layer on top lighter values. Some of the lighter values are those little squiggly lines, so it's easier to paint the larger sections of shadow first and then go on top with your smaller other details. Oh, that's right. You did say you liked portraits before. Sorry, I have a terrible memory. Like portraits because of the challenge. Still lives. Stormy Sea pastel pencils. I think I caught that one. Was that the one with the ship in the background? And it was, I think it was like a pirate ship or something, or just, an old timey ship of some sort. That one was really cool. That water that looked like that was a challenge. All right, I'm just going to do a little bit of it's not quite dry brushing. I'm just taking the wet paint and I'm sort of patting it around because that will reactivate the dried paint here. And I'm just going to blend that so there's a soft transition like so. I should try and do a portrait. My husband, he wants me to do a portrait of himself and our dog Pebbles, and he wants it to look like those kind of funny, I don't even know what you call them, but it's like, you know, he wants them both to be wearing a smoking jacket with like a pipe or something ridiculous. Although, if I'm going to do it, I got to do it soon because she's going on 14 years old, this dog. She's an old bat. The old sailing ship. Oh gosh, yeah. All those tiny lines for the rope. Yeah, I bet that was a challenge, but I bet that was really fun. The attention to detail that you have to have with some of those kinds of projects. I think that's the best part. All right, I'm just going to add a few highlights here. I should be using a liner brush for this. This is way too big. I'm going to move to a smaller brush here. Just cleaning up some of these little lines here. What's nice about gouache paint is that you can just correct things that you make mistakes on. It's just so easy just to wipe it off or work it back into the paper, and it's like it never happened. Okay, I'm still losing some nice, bright, vibrant colors. So now's the time when I want to start adding some of those warmer tones. So I'm gonna get out, this is Brilliant Orange. This is a Holbein traditional gouache. And I'm gonna mix that in with the Naphthol Red gouache that I have to make more of an orangey red. And that is just going to pull that form out and make it more round. Covered a metal ruler in glassine paper and that helped, but it was a slow process. That's a good idea. Were you using the polychromos for that one? Was that a colored pencil? I can't remember if that was colored pencil or pastel. But yeah, getting that nice fine sharp point for the entire all that rigging. That would have been that's a lot. How fun. Okay, so this cherry on the left-hand side is kind of wonky a little bit. It looks wrinkled right here. I'm just going to sort of scumble in a few little, like an S shape. I know this is the wrong color, wrong value, but I'm just sort of marking it out for the moment. And I want some lighter values still, I think, on this one. Gouache paint will dry darker. Lighter values of gouache paint will dry darker, and darker values of gouache paint will dry lighter, and which is why I'm always sort of going back and forth between the adjustments, because I'm just constantly adjusting. Now that's too light. Too light. Carbothello pencils. That's the pastel pencils, right? Carbothellos, I think. Do you, because he's got a Discord chat, I believe, too. Do you post your work on there and get feedback if you need help, or like, I can't remember how he sets that up. Cool. That's awesome. Okay, I'm just going to add some low lights here. So it's 7 o'clock now, and it's buffering again, so maybe we will call this a night. I'll finish this last cherry, and then I think I'm going to call it an evening. I'll just quickly color block that in. Oh, that was a terrible color. I got some orange in there. Turned it an ugly brown. Let me go back to my red. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I really like his business model a lot. And that's really what made me reach out to him, because I wanted to do the same. You know, I've been, teaching art in town, but I really want to expand where I teach. And I really had no idea where to start. And so his business model and the way he's got it set up is like, it's genius. Very, very good. And that is so helpful, getting that feedback too. Because I was wondering that for a long time, if I did teaching for students online, how does that work? Because you have to be able to give feedback and instruction. So yeah, Discord, that makes perfect sense. Add in some darker values still. Let's go back into my black, and I'm going to add in just some more of these little wrinkled shapes. And I'm just going to soften these areas of color and blend that together. I'm using very little pressure. It does not take much, especially if it's already wet, which this is still wet. And the more I blend, I am wiping my paintbrush off in between after a couple of passes, because I'm picking up some of that paint as well, and I don't want to move that paint into areas where it doesn't belong. I completely agree. He seems like he does quite a lot of work and doesn't charge enough. I think that's an artist thing. We never charge enough. I think it's just because we're so passionate about what we do and wanting to share the gift of art, you know, and showing other people how to do art, you know. It means a lot because it's so therapeutic and just, you know, it's, I don't know, it's art, it's creative. It's, I think a sign of a good teacher is like, you know, you just want to give your student everything, your all, because we care. You can totally tell. His passion, yep. I tell you what, it is so nice to have a good art teacher too. I was blessed to have a really good teacher myself in high school. I never went to art college or anything, but my high school art teacher taught us a lot of the fundamentals and just really opened our eyes to a lot of different techniques and different ways to do art, taught us about art, different artists, and I'll never forget that experience. And it's so sad when I think that our local schools don't have art anymore. You know, they take it out of the classroom now. And, you know, a lot of students, they don't have that will never get that experience like a lot of us did. So that's one of the things that I like about teaching is because, you know, kids don't have that experience anymore. And now, you know, I can share that and can share that to people who, you know, either can't get out of the house or, you know, or they just prefer to learn online or, you know, don't have art available in their area. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more of the crimson, alizarin crimson. That left side is a little bit more cooler red. I'm going to add just a touch of gray as well. A little bit more gray. Yeah, passing on the skill, passing the torch. I think if I'd stayed in the area where I was living after I graduated high school, I wanted to go to school to be an art teacher and teach high school art. Like, that is how much my teacher, like, influenced me. So but now I still found a way to do it. So I wanted to high school, but it was my sister's thing and I was discouraged from it. Oh, like you felt that because your sister was doing the high school art thing that you were discouraged from doing it yourself as well? Oh. Well, I'm glad that you're doing it now. Don't let anybody else discourage you from stepping out and doing something new and from learning. I had a new student today, and we were talking about painting. She was wanting to paint in acrylic, so that's what we were working on today. And she also had a similar experience. Both her two of her family members were artists, and she had voiced a concern that it was a little bit. She was a little intimidated because they were very good, and she felt like maybe she couldn't paint, at that time in her life. Gosh, I don't want anybody to feel that way. I think everyone should be forced to do art in high school. At least try it. Oh no. Oh, I hope she doesn't give it up for the rest of her art career. That's so sad. Oh man. Yeah, that's so unfortunate when that happens, when you get so stressed out that you quit. Oh. Well, hopefully she will come back one day when she feels that she's rested enough from it. Yeah, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Burnout's a real thing. Or stress from art is a real thing, but I think it's important to force yourself to take a rest. Take a rest, and then come back to it. Or find what it is that is stressing you out, that's putting that pressure on you, and sort of analyze it. If art is putting that much pressure on you for whatever particular reason, it should you shouldn't be under that much stress or pressure for art. It's just art. It's your art. And you have a say of what you get to do and not do with it. She just needs to be inspired again. Maybe you can inspire her with some of the things that you're learning. Ungraded, no pressure to perform. Same with her singing or performance anxiety. Oh. I definitely think you should encourage her. Because now that you have experienced the art world and have learned so much, you can help her, and it would probably be good coming from her sister, if she takes good criticism from her siblings. Nope, you were saying no pressure to perform. I was thinking maybe she was under too much pressure to perform and she gave up from that. So you're talking about the opposite. Maybe you can inspire her with some goals. Give her a challenge. Oh, meeting someone else's expectations. I think at some point in a lot of artists' careers or art paths, I think there's a point where you just have to either shut everybody else out and do your thing and just experience art for the sake of experiencing it. And then you just sort of learn. And then when you sort of outgrow what it is that you're trying to do on your own, reach out for help, and learn something else. But, that is really hard when you get that feeling where you just want to do your thing. You want to paint on your own, but you're stuck having to, do what somebody else wants you to do. That does definitely take the joy out of it. Yeah, sometimes I'll see that in some of my students where I think they've listened to instruction and they understand the goal or the objective of what they're learning, but then they just need to take that and run with it and just see what they can do. And, everyone's just at a different stage of art, in their career. But yeah, I hope she doesn't give up forever. My mom is a wonderful artist, and I don't think she's really done much fine art. She does crafts and stuff and sews and does some woodworking stuff with my dad. And I don't think she's really painted or drawn anything, as a full art piece in a while. And I'm always trying to get her back into it, because she was very good, but I haven't seen her do that kind of work in years. Oops, I went out of the lines again. Oopsie. That'll buff back in. Gotcha. And that's okay. Art will be there when she's ready for it. Okay, so I've got most of the main shapes of this particular cherry in, and all that's really left is to do some of the more line work. But it's 7:18, and I think I could probably spend another good hour doing some of those line work, so I'm going to save that for next time. I'm just going to take some more of that blending medium, and I'm just going to go over some of these areas real quick, just to kind of give that a little bit more of a seamless blend. Well, Dee, thanks so much for hanging in with me and for chatting, and it's always nice to have good conversation with other artists. Again, sorry about the poor video quality. One day I'll get the hang of this and hopefully we'll have some more streams without any hiccups, or that I'll actually remember to hit the go live button this time. I couldn't believe I did that last time. Still can't believe it. But one day getting better quality supplies too. I don't think high school has the best supplies. Yeah, I think when I was in high school art, we had, student grade stuff. Although we did use Prismacolor pencils, which I think are sort of a halfway between artist grade and student grade. Not all their colors are light fast, and I've got a few qualms with some of the quality control issues, but overall I think Prismacolor is a fantastic color pencil brand to use, and that's what I started using. And we used, I don't even remember what kind of paints that we used when we did painting, but yeah, I've definitely outgrown some of those old brands and upgraded. But yes, you have a good rest of your night too. And yeah, thanks for the feedback on the video. And if I do not go live tomorrow, since I did finish most of this, I might go live for a little bit just to finish the top part, but I am officially going to go live Thursday evening this week at 5:30 again to do this part of the cheesecake. So I will hopefully see you back at that time. So good to chat with you, and for everybody else, thanks for watching and for tuning in, and I will see you, if not tomorrow, next Thursday at 5:30. All right, have a good night, everybody.